Hi everybody, Hudson here. I am working on a new video series, and this is the first episode. My friend Jackson had a good idea yesterday night, and I decided to just immediately implement it and start working this into my system because it's fun and I enjoy doing it, and that is picking one of my 180 plus random records and listening through it and then talking about it for a few minutes. And so I have a giant playlist on Spotify that I click shuffle on, and whatever, it has one song from every album that I own, and whatever it lands on is the one that I listen through and talk about. So the first one ever, this is kind of crazy that this is the first one, is Alice by Tom Waits. This is the one that the Spotify gods decided it was time for me to listen to. I've had this album for a few months. It's one of my favorite Tom Waits albums. Tom Waits is my favorite artist of all time. So I feel very fortunate that this is the one that Spotify allowed me to start out with, because I have a lot to say about this album. It's absolutely incredibly put together, incredibly produced, and some incredible songs. Some background information off the top of my head: this was written for a theatrical play, musical, I suppose, called Alice, produced by Robert Wilson, who is an experimental theater maker. He produced two other plays with Tom Waits: The Black Rider, which is the most notable and most famous because the recording is widely accessible, Alice, and then I believe the third one was called Wozak, which the soundtrack that Waits wrote for that show is in the album Blood Money. I think this is probably my favorite of the three Wilson. If we consider the Wilson trilogy a trilogy, I think this is my favorite. I do have a very special place in my heart for The Black Rider, but this is just a lot more easy to listen to. It's a lot more coherent, and it really captures the atmosphere. So does The Black Rider. The Black Rider is an impeccable study of atmosphere curation, and it really does feel like, in the context of The Black Rider, that you're inside this like dark forest with all these supernatural things happening. It really captures that vibe, and I don't think I've seen any music project do something similar to that, but this really captures the feel of a dark, grown-up Alice in Wonderland, which is what this tells the story of. It's very dark in its nature. I believe that the actual plot line of the story is about Lewis Carroll, the author of Alice in Wonderland, and his questionable relationship with the actual Alice. I forget all the details there, but it's pretty clear that some unadvisable things were happening. So it's pretty dark, pretty morbid in a lot of places. And I think it implements, from what I know of it, I've never seen the show, it implements aspects of Alice in Wonderland, the narrative and the things that Carroll wrote into this actual story about his own life. I think the title track, Alice, is one of my favorite Tom Waits songs ever. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. It really helped me get through a rough period about the midpoint of last year. I think just the way that it captures obsession is so compelling. It is so palpable, through the lyricism of telling this story of this man who's can't see anything. He sees the skates on the pond, that's one of the lyrics. It's like the ice in his drink. Everything around him reminds him of this overwhelming obsession with Alice. And I think that even if it's not in an inappropriate sense, that emotion and that core obsession is just really palpable. And I think Waits did a fantastic job of capturing that. It's one of his few songs that sort of has this like Chet Baker, maybe soft Frank Sinatra feel to it, where it's this really smooth jazz, really like foggy, really like 3 a.m. You just got thrown out of your and you're in the city streets all by your own. It's got this just impeccable atmosphere to it. And I think one criticism I would have is the title track has this very urban feel to it. It's very grounded, and it's like, and this might be explained in the context of the show. Again, I haven't seen it, and there's no way for me to see it without going to the New York Library of Congress. But the title track has this very specific atmosphere that feels like a jazz club, or it feels just like foggy. It feels like trench coaty, like your 3 a.m. fog trench coat, one singular street lamp. Very like Frank Sinatra, Only the Lonely. I believe that's what the album's called. Whatever the actual adaptation of what he was going to call Songs for Losers ended up being, that album, that feel is very palpable in the title song Alice, and then we just sort of dive into the Wonderland world. And I don't know if that's a valid criticism, because I think just the work in this album is just impeccable, and it's absolutely fantastic. I should probably hold it like this so the YouTube thumbnail can capture something. Other highlights for me, I absolutely love Komm nicht zu spät. I don't even know how to say it. It's a fake German song where Waits just spews a lot of things that sound like German or Dutch words, and it's just wild. I think it's especially funny because I believe Black Rider was produced in Germany and in German, even though Robert Wilson's an American playwright and Waits is an American composer. I think the Germans just have they're more based with what they choose to put on in the theatrical department. So having a fake German song, I don't know if this is a German play. I don't know if Alice was a German play or not, but to have a fake German song is really funny, and I just love the atmosphere of that, just the chaos of it, and Waits' performance, his just maniacal laugh at the end. I think it's just absolutely perfect. It's one of Tom's best chaotic numbers, I think. I think Poor Edward is amazing. It's a magnificent storytelling song. The violin is just a perfect choice to sort of have as a through line throughout. It's very heavy on this shrill, sharp violin sound, and then everything else is a lot more subtle. You just got some subtle keys, some subtle chords and stuff, and just the storytelling at work is amazing. I love Tabletop Joe. A lot of people despise Tabletop Joe. I think it's hilarious, and I think in the set list, having just listened through this, I think having it be right after Poor Edward is really, really funny. And I think, it's cool to see him just dive into that like gutter jazz type of feel with Tabletop Joe. There's a lot of fantastic tracks here. Watch Her Disappear is, I think, one of Waits' best spoken word tracks. Fish and Bird, I'm Still Here, and ending with the instrumental of Fawn with just that weeping violin is just absolutely amazing. And that's without me knowing the full context of the show. I think one of the reasons why I'm tempted to prefer Black Rider over Alice is because I have seen that show. It's on YouTube, and I watched the entire thing. And I think as an album, though, this definitely, it takes the cake. I think just from me personally, like if I think of a Tom Waits album that I want to listen to, Mule Variations is inevitably at the top, but I think this one is probably a close second. I think it makes me feel deeper than some of his other magnificent albums like Swordfish Trombones or Bone Machine or Real Gone. Even those are all masterful records. This one just makes me feel, and it's all throughout. It's not just the title track, even though the rest of the tracks on here have completely different vibes than the title track. They do not cease to draw out the deep emotions in the same way that I feel like Mule Variations, which is my favorite album of all time, does. So that's all I have to say about Tom Waits' Alice. Thank you for watching this. This is a very long introduction. I doubt I'll have this much to talk about with a lot of these other ones, but I love talking about music, and I love listening to records, and hopefully it proves that I'm not a performative male and I collect records because I genuinely like them. Thank you. Bye-bye.